People should not be afraid of change. People should not be afraid of change. Change has been happening our entire lives, at least the amount of time that I've been born and that I've been aware of what's going on around me. I've always understood change to be a forever happening thing that we cannot stop. We just need to embrace. And if we are at the forefront of it, then we can help control it. We can determine what happens with it. But anybody that is trying to force themselves to stay in the same space that we've been in, you are going to be left behind without a doubt. You will 100% fall behind and the world will leave you behind. That is just the facts. If you think that you're going to prevent the administration, for example, from right-sizing the government, I don't even like to say just auditing the government. I say right-sizing the government because the government in the United States of America has been bloated and filled with so much crap for so long. I almost anticipated the Biden administration to make it even worse, knowing that the Trump administration is going to come in right behind them and right-size it. So I'm almost believe that Biden and Kamala Harris and all of their friends and all of their donors and all of the people that was in the Democratic National Convention and these big old suites was making sure that they got everything. They stole everything but the rug from the United States of America because they were waiting for somebody to come in and fix it. And if we were smart, we would have actually made the adjustment ourselves and prepared ourselves for what was to come. If you didn't see major change happening, regardless of whether or not Trump got elected, because eventually the government had to be right-sized because there's no way that we can continue to run up the deficit to the tune of over $36 trillion at this point, right? And so if you weren't prepared, if you're not at this point right now, right now, my goal is to understand everything technological and to embrace it to ensure that not only I'm prepared for the opportunities that come in the future, whether it be content creation, whether it be my companies, whether it be adjusting to what is happening in corporate America to then take advantage of more contracts, more opportunities, more of what we see happening today. When we move on a regular basis, you have to dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. And I explained this last night on the Q Show for those of y'all that are actually subscribed to the Anton Daniels channel. I know that there were some people that said, Anton, what are all of your platforms? You need to announce it. Well, on my channel, it's, links to all of my channels. But if you want to, you should subscribe to this one. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. That is very, very important because we give real deep diving into the information, stocks, technology, real estate, everything on the Anton Daniels platform on Patreon. So that link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. The Anton Daniels channel, the Millionaire Morning Show, and then after hours when Anton Daniels, we have these conversations. On the live stream last night, I broke down and I was helping somebody to understand. Her name was Jess. And I was showing her because women often at times say, well, we need equal pay for equal work. And how come men make more than us? And so then when I started to break it down, it released her. It released all of the women on the platform. It released all of the women that were watching the video. And it was an unexpected conversation, but it released them from their victim Olympiads, from their victim Olympic hoods. It released them from thinking that somebody was against them and that the opportunities that was afforded to them were no longer there based off of the fact that they were women or they were black. Because just because you don't know does not mean that the system is against you. It means that you're ignorant and you need to be educated, right? And so when I then gave them the blueprint of how they can then level up in corporate America if they decide to go down that path, they put their shoulders down. Because with new information, you have to implement it, but with new information comes more opportunity. And too often, with Americans, not just black people, not just with white people, we have this misconception that white people are doing so much better than us. No, it's the ones that are promoted to you to keep themselves motivated, right? It's a superiority complex that makes people feel good. But at the end of the day, I don't know too many white people, and I know a whole lot of them that have a net worth that's more than mine. Why is that? Because information is power, and it doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't even matter what your gender is. Information is power, and when you have it and you implement it and you do it the right way, you can then benefit from it, especially here in the United States of America. And what I see happening right now is the greatest opportunity for a lifetime. Some of you are federal workers. Some of you are corporate workers. You work in every different sector: truck drivers, banking, home health care, working from home from a tech company, working in a tech company, working for a major technological company, Meta, Google, Facebook, whatever it is that you work for, right? So many different people are in so many different industries. But the common thing that I see, the difference between people that are successful and the people that aren't, is some people are preparing themselves and dressing for the job that they want and for the opportunities that's going to present itself. And other people are complaining and waiting for life to pass them by, thinking that just because they got a group of people that agree with them, that makes them smart, or it's going to make them any better than they were. And you just going to be poor with a whole bunch of poor friends that then leave you when they start to figure out what's going on. Guess what? It's similar to your friend that get married while she was keeping you single. That is what the Democratic plantation is. That is what echo chambers do. Even in this live stream, even on this platform, I tell people regularly, I don't want people in here that only agree with me. Do not time out people that think differently from me. I want to hear what they got to say. You know why? Because sometimes they say something that then give me an aha moment that forces me to start pivoting, whether it be from content creation, my view when it comes to politics, or an opportunity. Sometimes they say something wrong or right, mostly wrong, but then I look at it and I say, you know what? That is something that needs to be tackled. It's a huge opportunity in that. When you exist in an echo chamber, somebody told me a week ago that I'm not a part of the revolution and I'm not invited to the barbecue, as though I want diabetes, right? But when I see those type of people, often at times I realize that life is leaving them behind, and they think that they saying something about me when they say that I got money and that makes me disconnected. No, the fact that I got money and the reason that I got money is because I'm so situationally aware of the change that's happening and where you at that I know you not coming with me. Being invited to the barbecue don't necessarily mean that it's an insult. It means that it's still gonna be people there while I got a personal maid over here. I don't want to come to the barbecue. I want a personal maid. That is literally a metaphor for saying that you don't want to be in the same place at the same time with the same people doing the same things, and they're gonna look the same way, and they just gonna get exponentially worse every single day. Change is imminent, change is evident. And if we don't start changing our mindset, which then translates into the things that we do on a daily basis, you will find yourself left behind, waiting for somebody to give you something and begging for something that they ain't gonna never get you, such as reparations. If you're waiting, if you want to spend all of your energy and all your time asking somebody for something that ain't never gonna come, if Trump ever showed you anything, is that nobody is getting a handout going forward. Nobody is getting what they think they owed. When I hear people say we deserve reparations, it reminds me of a woman that say I deserve love. Wait on it then. Wait on it. They think that I'm the enemy because I won't substantiate that they think that they deserve reparations. What I'm trying to do is tell you that you can't wait on nobody to give you nothing because you're going to die poor and broke thinking that you owed something. I'm trying to give you the blueprint to get rich regardless of what somebody's going to give you or not. I'm trying to enable you to not need government subsidies in order to be able to survive and live your life. I'm trying to prepare you to not have to worry about a layoff. And when you do get laid off, or when you do then get released, you was already anticipating it because you already had a whole bunch of other stuff in the fire, and you was just quiet quitting and waiting for them to get rid of you because you was taking advantage of the benefits that you had in the first place. I want you rich. When I see people in this chat say stuff to me like, Anton, why ain't you doing this? And then I ask them, why aren't you capable of doing it? Because even if I decide that I don't want to give money over into the community, I have the option to do so. You don't have the option to give if you wanted to because you don't have no power. And you know where power comes from? Resources. You know where resources come from? Consistency in doing things. You know where consistency in doing things come from? A different mentality. And if I can't unlock you here, I can give you all the money in the world and you still gonna be poor. Because if you poor up here, it's gonna translate out here. And it don't matter how much money we give you, it don't matter how much freedom we give you. People that have the ability to make the decision for themselves often choose wrong because they didn't change here, they didn't change here in order to continue to get what they need to do or maintain it in the first place. When I see people say stuff to me and they lie and they say, Anton, you must have got an inheritance. Let's assume that my parents were so prosperous that they just so happened to give me an inheritance. My ability to grow it and maintain it shows that I'm still 10 times better than anybody who did or didn't get an inheritance, regardless, because every day people get an opportunity and they fumble it. Every day people get an opportunity and they fumble it. Success is a mentality. Change is evident. And if you don't embrace it, if you're not continuing to grow, if you're not continuing to become the best version of yourself, you will fall behind. You're going to fall behind in opportunities. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about spirituality. I'm talking about growth. I'm talking about you're going to be the person that's always chasing behind and then reacting to what's going on around you when you can be at the forefront. I said something yesterday and everybody just completely ignored it. I said, listen, you talking about these companies. Y'all talking about boycotting Target. Who y'all following? Who came up with these ideas? And why did y'all say that it was okay to continue to follow behind people that are so dumb and ignorant that they would actually say something like that? If I were a person that was leading the revolution of the black community, for example, I would never say let's boycott it. I would say let's buy it. I said it yesterday. They say, well, banks don't lead to black people. Well, don't you know that the majority of the large banks are publicly traded companies that you can invest in and have a vested interest in saying what the determination or what the direction of the bank is going? Why wouldn't you then invest in it instead of continuing to say, well, we ain't going to spend our money there? You've been a consumer your entire life. The question should have never been how much can we buy from you. The question should be how much of it can we buy? Why don't y'all got investor groups? How come y'all not having conversations about taking over companies by then buying it and then determining what vendors are going to be sourced in there? You don't have the infrastructure. It's already been done for you. They built the infrastructure. They've built the logistics. They built the management structure. They've had opportunities, and they got the marketing team. They've already invested it. Smart people already look at what other people have built and then they buy it from them instead of us doing it ourselves. Y'all so busy listening to these dumb idiots that think that they got a revolution and they have no business sense. They don't know nothing. They ain't never owned nothing. They ain't never built nothing. Why are you listening to them? Why are you talking about the revolution? The revolution passed you by a long time ago. People that have money realize that they didn't even have to protest. They just started buying everything that they wanted and they changed it according to how they seen fit. Why do I have to do anything other than take my money and do what I want to do with it? But we don't have no power because we don't have no mentality that then allows for us to reduce our spending, make the adjustments, have the capital, and then be able to band together because change is imminent, change is evident, and Target ain't worried about y'all. Target can put out a statement tomorrow and say, well, we going to change back to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and people going to think that makes something. They can put out a statement and change your whole mentality towards something. That's power. That's power. That's power. Right? Quarterly, annually, when I get my request for me to be able to participate in these calls to see exactly what the company is doing and what the success is, and then I give that over to the bag chasers over at the Patreon, that's called information, which is power. Keep protesting if you want to. We look at the people that are protesting out there every single day with these immigrants, and we know that all they're doing is documenting them so that they can follow them home and deport them. Don't you realize that stopped working a long time ago? Y'all so worried about people putting up a Nazi flag over a freeway and you get so offended by it. I don't care about what they do. I might buy the land that they live on because I know that it's going to go into foreclosure because at the end of the day, they still got to go to work in order to pay their mortgage. They affected just like you. Just because they feel some type of way, that don't mean nothing to me. They don't have no power. That's why they out there with a sign. Because people that got real power, they don't have to protest. They do stuff. They disrupt everything that you do, and it ain't going to have nothing to do with protesting. Change is imminent. Change is evident. You have to change your mindset. We in warfare. The devil wants you to be distracted with things that's in front of your face, but the only thing that you got to do is make adjustments. Always making adjustments. My father always taught me life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it. 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it. 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it. I just look at you. I analyze how I'm going to deal with it, and then I make the adjustment. Life is adjustments and change. People that don't change are being left behind. The black community was left behind a long time ago. The black community was left behind a long time ago. They laugh at you when you protest because you think it's meaningful, but all they doing is making sure that you waste your time. That's my time, y'all. That's my time. Let me read a couple of super chats. I got a flight to catch. I'm about to head over to Washington, D.C. That's my time, y'all.